the most courageous thing you can do is to actually connect with someone and talk stuff through and open up and be a bit vulnerable and actually sit in that really uncomfortable space.
Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel, Stepping Up. You're on the road with Tar again, this time bringing to you another brand new episode from the Sunshine Coast again, as I get to catch up with another dear friend, but also the special guest for today's show, who's also the founder of Marcus Missions, Jon Morgan. But before we continue on, please subscribe and help this channel grow so we can reach out to more individuals with the stories that we get to share with you all, where you can take the steps and the strategies in helping you or someone that you care about down the track in navigating their mental states. See you there. Today I'm here on the Sunshine Coast, again in this lovely suburb that I always tend to feel like it's a home, coming back to Majimba. And also, not only for that reason of coming here to a place that I enjoy coming to, but to catch up with a dear friend and also someone who's mentored me, who is also the special guest of today's show. So before I hand you over, I'd just like for him to share a little bit about himself, his background, and then we'll dive into it further on as we get into the show. So, Jon, welcome.
Thanks, Tar. Great to be here. Thanks, mate. It's always great to see you again too. Really enjoy that part. Mate, as you know, we founded Marcus Mission about maybe 6 years ago, a bit over 6 years ago, and it's a social support program for men, and it just helps blokes that are navigating life's challenges, gives them a bit of help. So there's sort of three arms to it. One of those is sort of an educational stuff where we have some really informal workshops around some of those factors that lead to suicide ideation and struggles, and we have a mentoring arm where everyday blokes from all different sort of occupations and stuff, they look after another fella and maybe catch up weekly or fortnightly, and just there to support them and clarify, not sort of problem solve so much, and then finally just a bit of skill building in the area of suicide prevention and intervention. Yeah.
Okay, so just before we continue on, Jon, where did this all come from?
Well, it's a I guess to answer that quickly, I'd been working with Lifeline, doing weekly phone stuff for, I don't know, many years, and then unfortunately in 2014 we had our nephew and our godson, Marcus, who was living with us, and he died by suicide in our home, and we sort of started thinking, well, what have we missed? What does a 23-year-old who's had some struggles, some of those factors, loss of work and loss of girlfriend and depression and stuff, what does a bloke like that need outside clinical care? Because clinical care is a great start, but what do they need? So that's so we started thinking about a social support program and did a bit of research and found a lot of stuff around the fact that blokes want to be supported by other blokes, as well as getting clinical care, but to have someone that's got a big heart and who cares about you, but will spend some time with you, but also a connection with other fellas who are struggling with issues that they're navigating in their lives.
Okay. Oh, it's sorry to hear about what happened to your nephew as well.
Thank you.
But it does seem like trying to get that message out is being harder for men to try and. Is it something that you think maybe they're too scared to seek the help that they need, or they just don't know how to go about seeking the help that they need if they're mentally struggling with family breakups, divorces, and so on?
Yeah, exactly. I think there's a few things. If I sort of go back to my own experience, maybe as well, I had a pretty good life actually. I'm lucky to have good parents and good environment and stuff, but I had a lot of loss factors in the very early 90s, and you kind of you know, if you come from a pragmatic sort of family where you just get on with things, you don't quite know how to deal with it. And so I remember I was experiencing from a loss of a friend through suicide. I was experiencing some PTSD, but rather than going and seeing someone, you know, I cancelled the appointment before and I went, "Nah, I'm good, I'll be fine." And I reckon it comes back to something that Brené Brown said, which is that when men feel weak, they feel shame. So I guess one of the things we've tried to do is to really turn that around and say, you know, the most courageous thing you can do is to actually connect with someone and talk stuff through and open up and be a bit vulnerable and actually sit in that really uncomfortable space and be able to get some help. And I think, you know, I think in Marcus's case he was getting some help, some clinical help, but I think he was also spiralling and he was holding up the mask, which a lot of people do, and didn't want to be a burden on others. So I think it's very easy to pretend that you're doing okay or you're getting through stuff. And I think what we try and do is to bring, you know, to allow fellas to safely take off the mask and to talk through stuff and be encouraged and be supported by other blokes where there's no embarrassment and it's okay. And we have quite a few blokes when we're doing sessions, whether it's about, you know, your own thinking styles or your relationships with others or conflict or grief or well-being, that actually get quite emotional and teary. And, you know, what I love seeing is some of our blokes just going over to them, "Let it out, mate, this is great, this is important, you got to do this." Because I think in some ways, if we've been brought up to be strong and silent and self-reliant, that traditional kind of male role models, then that says don't open up, don't be emotional, emotions weakness, and we're sort of trying to break that sort of mould a bit and allow blokes to feel supported by others and to work through some of those things. Not trying to fix it or come up with a cure, but allow them to process it and clarify things.
Yeah. I just wanted to go back quickly because you spoke about the mask. For someone who doesn't know what the mask thing you're talking about, could you just briefly just
Yeah, of
summarize
course.
that?
Of course, no worries. The mask is like when you hold up a mask and you pretend you're okay and you pretend you're doing okay because you don't want to feel embarrassed or shamed or whatever, and you don't want to tell other people because, you know, you're feeling weak. So it's this idea of trying to shift that idea that actually talking about stuff and opening up and talking about your fears and your insecurities and the shit that you're dealing with that's really tough to process. You know, it's a good thing to be able to process it. In a way, it's this notion that if we can start to unpack it and we don't just have ruminate in our head and go through those cycles over and over again, then maybe we can get some clarity and we can get some ideas on how to move forward. But also, you know, it's this idea of feeling supported and dare I say it, loved by other people who've got your back and expect nothing from you, and feeling safe with them and being able to deal with some of that stuff, you know.
Yeah. Thanks for that, because I'm sure some people would probably be thinking, "Oh, what is he talking about with the mask?" So thank you for that. Appreciate that. But going forward, I've also been honoured attending your classes, the workshops, and it's opened my eyes to see the growth within some of these men that would turn up. Some of the sessions that I sat in where they, you know, we all share the pain and go through what they. It's almost we all want to, you know, be there for them, but throughout Marcus missions, we're not also there to fix them, but to be supportive, knowing that we've got their back. What would you like to see in the future with mental health for men, or possibly even for women that may be going through some of these struggles as well?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I mean, for me, thing I love about the grassroots sort of stuff is it's just authentic, genuine blokes with big hearts that want to be there for other people and also deal with their own stuff. And I guess we sort of make the assumption that we're all a bit of a work in progress. Do you know what I mean? Like nobody's fixed. One of the things I do think is really important is this idea. One of our ground rules in terms of our mentoring, because the mentors are only get a gig once they've demonstrated that they can listen really well, reflect really well, ask good questions. The cardinal sin in mentoring is trying to problem solve or fix or rescue, because we're trying to empower blokes to think about what they need to do to work through stuff. And we've got this amazing sounding board, we've got this amazing person with experience, but it's not their journey, it's the bloke's journey. So we've got to try and help them through their journey, and get out of our own way is an expression that a mate of mine used to say. He was a psych, and he used to say, just get out of your own way, because it's really about helping them to clarify what's happening for them, clarify some of the issues, clarify some ways forward maybe, but not to be the parent, because we're blokes supporting blokes, and we just want to be able to help people to deal with things in a less formal way. I mean, one of the things you'll notice in the workshops is we don't swear profusely, but we do joke around and swear a bit and have a bit of a laugh and stuff. So there's this yin yang. It's a deep, pretty powerful kind of workshops, but it's super informal. Like at Marcoola, we've got sand under our feet and we can hear the waves, and we're having a bit of a laugh, and we throw around a footy. But I think for me, one of the things that I really love too is a lot of that shoulder to shoulder, when we're doing the mentoring or when we're doing the paired activities in the workshop, we get people to do some exercise. So go for a walk or kick a footy or go for a surf like you, Tar. If you're the mentor, you go, okay, let's go out for a surf. The waves are good. And the conversation's incidental, and that shoulder to shoulder stuff is profoundly important for blokes, because we don't like the eyeballing. I think generally women do that better. They don't have as much of a mask. They can disclose stuff. They can talk to their friends a bit more. They can open up about that stuff, and they're not feeling the same sort of shame. It's a different sort of thing. But I would hope that, whether you're a bloke or a woman, that you can get support from everyday people that can be there for you without telling you what you should be doing, and then you can have great clinical support as well, whether that's counsellors or social workers or psychs or doctors. That they play an important function, and we just sort of add a layer to that as well.
So do you get referrals through like the hospitals and that, or how do you guys make a connection with some of the men that are probably going through those mental struggles?
Yeah, it's a good question. We get referrals from a lot of different sources. So we get some through agencies. Like on the coast, we've got a great agency that we're close with, Open Minds, and they case manage blokes that are struggling, and so we get those referrals, and we have a referral form just to make sure we know what we're dealing with. Our program's more subacute, so we don't generally take on blokes that are thinking of suicide almost every day and planning it and so forth, because you need good clinicians to be able to manage that, and you need good psychs and so forth to help with that. But once they've engaged with some support, some clinical sort of support, then they're referred into the program. We also have GPs and some psych practices and others that refer us. We have friends of friends, at the surf club that we're at. It was a bloke that I knew his daughter, and he just walked into a workshop and participated and said, "Hey mate, I've got a mate that's doing it tough. Can we have a chat? And is there any chance of being able to get some mentoring and attend the programs?" And that's really nice too, when they hear about it, and they think, oh, that's not a bad thing to attend, And the other thing that we try and do is make it really accessible. So you don't put your hand in your pocket for anything. Your breakfast is free, your lunch is free, the workshops are free, the catch-ups are free, the library, books and stuff that you can borrow are free. You get a journal so you can write in. And we don't want it to be a financial thing. We want people to feel that they can come along and be supported by just good people, But the referrals, it takes a village to raise a child. The referrals are from a whole community. The sad part about that is we probably, out of the 10 referrals we get, we probably get maybe 3 that actually come to the program and actually give it all they've got, and have a readiness to improve, because we have a lot of guys where the fear becomes a bit overwhelming, or they just go, oh, that's too hard, and they, even though they sound good on the phone or when we catch up for a coffee, they still don't ultimately come along to Marcus Mission. So that's a sadness. But I think one of the things that I've learned over the last 6 years is you open the door and you encourage people to come through, but ultimately this is an empowerment program. So you've got to have people that, in your terms, that step up, step up to the plate and go, you know what, I am going to make some changes, I am going to learn, and I'm going to have the courage to actually be a bit vulnerable in front of people that I don't know that well initially. And I'm okay with that, because it's a hard thing for us blokes to reach out sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And are there any solutions or ideas that you think could help if your referrals are kind of in small numbers? Is there possibly other ways that you've thought about maybe extending that reach to men that are suffering through these times of hardships and that?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. How do we do that? I guess what we try and do, we try and create different pathways into the program. Like the Sunshine Coast program is pumping. Like we get 25 to 35 men every month, that turn up and they're keen to go, and we get new people coming in, and some come in for a few, get the help they need, and then they're out, which is great too. But one of the things we try and do is we have a walk that we do mid-month. So we just meet at the club and we go for a bit of a walk and talk. I go out and say, hey, I'll go out and meet you and have a coffee. So we have a coffee so you can put a face to the name. The other thing we try and do is that if it's about public transport or getting there, we often, if someone's a bit tentative, we go, hey mate, do you want to lift the first time? So we can pick you up and you can walk in with someone else and have a coffee with us. And so trying to break down all of those barriers around fear, maybe. But it's all without being sort of sales-like. It's almost like a lifetime guarantee. If you come into this program, you can leave at any time. It's not going to hurt, and not that you pay money, but you get your money back. It's kind of this concept of come in, mate, give it a whirl. If you don't like it, no worries. But one of the things that's really, really inspiring for me, Tara, is that when we have new blokes that walk in, you have people go over to them, shake their hand, grab a coffee with them, show them around the place. It's just fantastic. So, it's just this amazing kind of thing where you got the blokes that really want you to be there. And that surprises a lot. We've had people that go, shit, what do these people want? They're just so generous and they're so big-hearted and so forth. And they're chatting to me, and sometimes some of the blokes get a bit suspicious. They go, hold on, what is this? Is this some sort of cult? And even though we've got lots of blokes with faith, it's not religious based either. So it's funny when you have people that go, well, this is never felt this way before. Never been to a group where it's so chilled. And we also sort of say, if you've got an ego, leave it at the door. And we have a sign that we put up, which is a no dickheads rule. That if you are a dickhead, or you want to act like a dickhead, or you want to talk about yourself or talk yourself up, please don't come in. We just want blokes that want to relate at a pure, sort of genuine level,
Oh, that's absolute gold. Okay then. Just to say for a beginner, if they were walking in, what would they expect?
So the first thing they would expect is a warm welcome. When we had COVID, when we were sort of coming back from COVID, I said to Glenn, who was managing the program at the time, oh mate, I'm going to put on a breakfast because I reckon it'd be a nice thing. But it was so popular that we changed the sessions so that we serve breakfast at 8 o'clock. We only do the workshop at 9, and blokes can come in and they can chat and they can network and sit quietly, or take a coffee and go down and look at the waves and think about the next surf they're going to have, or whatever it is, but just have this really nice, informal, relaxed experience. And expect really friendly fellas, people that have don't want anything. They just want to be there for you, you know. And then the workshops, you know, it kind of challenged by choice. You can just sit back and listen. You don't have to contribute at all. But, you know, we end up with this massive sort of circle, if you like, where we chuck around a football. Anybody got any experience with that? Anybody want to comment? So we chuck a football, and then other people go, oh yeah, I really agree with that.
What do you mean chuck around the football? What does the football indicate?
A football is like in native Indian culture, there was this thing that they used to have with their crew, their tribes, which was like an Indian talking stick, and the only person that could talk was the one with the stick. So we've just changed that because we're Queenslanders to a Maroons rugby league footy, and we just chuck around the footy. And it's also funny because, you know, when it's the season at the moment, you know, like State of Origin season, if there's a bloke from New South Wales that drops the ball, you know, there's so much shit put on him going, oh yeah, typical New South Wales bloke, you know. So that sort of allows people. So we try and do that. So we mix it up. But you can contribute as much or as little as you want. And then we also do some activities where we might be talking about, say, wellness, and we might be talking about, you know, positive emotions and engagement and nurturing relationships and meaning in your life and accomplishment and what that looks like for you. And then we'll go, okay, go and chat to you know, find someone and just go for a bit of a wander and have a chat about which ones are the well-being stuff you do well and which ones you struggle a bit with. Okay, see you in 20 minutes, grab a coffee, grab some fruit if you want it. You know, so there's this opportunity for people that are a bit more introverted to maybe just talk one-on-one rather than be intimidated by maybe a bigger group as well.
Oh wow, that's amazing. And yeah, I've had that experience too. Feeling so welcome, especially when I first met up with you guys in the Sunny Coast section. That was an eye opener for me. On that storm, both me and Neil brought that up. That was quite funny to look back at. But yeah, I just wanted the listeners and the viewers to know what to expect when coming to your mentor workshop. And also with that being said, is there anything else that you'd like to add with what you would like to see happening for men or, you know, individuals that are going through these mental struggles?
Yeah, I mean, for me, there's a couple of things. I love the idea that you can access support. I think a country like Australia, we should be able to access counsellors and psychs, and I think it's really been really tough to, you know, get appointments when you need that. And I know that, you know, Beyond Blue and others have some online counselling services which they put on, which is great. And I know Headspace is fantastic for the younger crew of blokes. You know, they target up to 25 or 30, and they're an organisation that provides counselling and someone to connect with and so forth. But for me, it also starts with schools and families. And I think one of the things that I love about there's a bloke that I admire in this space, and he's Dr. Zach Ziedler is his name, and he's from Melbourne, and he works for Movember and does some research, but he summed it up really well, and he said, you know, being stoic and strong and self-reliant and silent, it's a great thing. You know, all of us need that sometimes in our life to be able to let's go, let's step up, let's make it happen. But he said, as long as you can come back home and you can sit down with your daughter and watch a Disney movie and allow yourself to cry and be okay with that. He said, it's the flexibility factor. It's that okay to be emotional. But it's in context, you know, that it's beautiful if you can do that with your family or you can show emotion. I was at a wedding yesterday and I was getting teary watching the bride and groom, and I go, I don't give a shit, you know. If people want to judge me on that, that's cool. But they're tears of joy because the beautiful eldest daughter of one of our dear friends getting married, and it's a beautiful thing. And so, not shying away from the emotions, knowing that emotions have a good place. But when you're getting a bit overwhelmed by emotions or distorted thinking or rumination, being able to open up and actually talk to people, whoever it might be, a friend or, you know, a family member or, you know, a person in the community that you can talk to. I'd love it that we can teach our kids that it's important to be able to open up. And you're going to go through struggles in life, but boy, you need good people around you to help navigate those struggles, you know.
And
Awesome.
that's amazing. That's amazing. That yeah, we should have a lot more of those things to work towards, to strive for the families and the younger generation that need to hear the realities of the life challenges ahead, bumpy roads, that which is part of life. And
Yeah.
I really appreciate what you do, and I hope this can grow into something more than where you're at, to make a difference in the world, to step up to the plate. So before we wrap this up, John, any final words that you'd like to leave the viewers with? And
Thank you. Yeah, just one thing that I would say is that, there's loads of different programs. There's some great stuff. Like 20 years ago, there was none of this, but now we've got things like Men's Table, where you go out for a meal, or you've got Mentoring Men, where you can find a mentor. You've got Marcus Mission, or you've got, the Grab Life by the Balls, where you can go and have bacon and eggs and have a chat. And have some company, and it's not educational as such, but it's just connecting with fellas. So I just think finding your tribe. That's what it's about for me. Finding All Complete Men down the coast with Tim. It's about finding one that resonates with you and connects with you, because there are those services available, and some great fellas running them. Like the people I meet, they're running those grassroots program. Good souls, just wanting to do good in the world. So definitely that. But just that reach out. For me, if I went back sort of, I don't know, 35 years ago or whatever, I'd go, bloody reach out and get started on it. Don't push it to the back of the mind and drown it out with pot or drink or any distraction. Actually deal with it and work through it. Because, when we talked about masks, I reckon all we do sometimes is try and numb the pain, and I reckon we've got to be able to open it up and look at it and notice it and be compassionate with ourselves around what we're going through and the struggle, but be able to process it. Because the longer you put off that pain, that's been my experience, the longer you put off dealing with that pain and owning the emotions and noticing the emotions, not fusing with it, but just trying to accept the discomfort, the longer it takes to heal. And I think, we're all healing from some sort of wounds, whether they be trauma or loss or grief or betrayal or whatever. And I think, we've got to get started, don't we, in terms of being able to deal with this stuff. And you need trusted people around you, safe spaces to be able to do that too.
So how can they reach you? I'll put the description down below too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, if they just Google, I've got a company that I've run for many years, and under that website there's About Marcus Mission, and it talks about the program, and it's got all our contact details. And so if they just Google About Marcus Mission, we've got areas running. We've got Gold Coast running with Gary Cooper down the Gold Coast. We've got Adrian Pearce in Bundy that runs program. We've got some great fellas, Steve and Brian and others in Gympie. And I'm the contact for the Sunny Coast. So and we've also got a new program which is exciting that only started this month in Ipswich, and it's a great fella there who's got a brilliant background in wellbeing and mental health stuff, and he's running some programs on the first Saturday of the month. Down in Ipswich, and that's all those details are on About Marcus Mission. But if you want to put your toe in the water, just give me a call. The number's on the website. We're not hiding anything. Give us a call, have a chat, and see if we can help, because we'd love to be able to support you in whatever you're dealing with.
John, it's an absolute pleasure and honour to have you on this show today, and thank you for that wealth of knowledge, and I hope to do this again in the future too.
That'd be awesome, Tar. Yeah, I'd love to. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Really enjoyed your company.